Jai, Hare Krishna. So I thought to, yesterday I managed finally to install the database, and I thought why not to go through different topics we can take this week, and perhaps each one of you, whoever comes, whoever watches the rebroadcast, you can say in the comments which kind of topic you would like us to research in Prabhupada's internet, the database. You've seen the database before, you tried it? So it's like basically like Prabhupada's Google, and it's so we can go so deep into what is actually Krishna consciousness, and particularly in the area of the life that we are dealing with or going through. Okay, how do I share the screen? It's supposed to be a screen share. Screen share. Snapshot. Share screen. So that I can share the screen is fine. Okay, either way, we can do it without the shared screen, I guess. But I thought to browse through jealousy, what Prabhupada speaks about jealousy. It's something very important to pull out of our heart in our spiritual progress. Bhaktisiddhanta, he says many times, Prabhupada quotes him on that someone who attempts to be a Vaishnava, or a Vaishnava, especially Vaishnava, if he exhibits or if he has a tinge of jealousy in his heart, he's less than a dog. So, I mean, I think for me that would be a nice platform to start from, a dog. Like Seven Under Sand, he would capture, he didn't capture, but he met this dog along the way, and the dog went back home, back to God from the body of the dog. He didn't even have to take a human form after. So I thought either we can go through, like how I usually do this research, I think about the particular mood I would like Prabhupada to kind of speak about that term, or I just go through all Prabhupada's Vani, like Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada's conversations, Prabhupada letters. If I kind of want a specific like instance or like something more practical, I usually would go to like the audio transcripts, and now we have like a chronologically ordered transcription, and the letters, the correspondence. So what do you say for this? We go across everything, or we go through specific book, or specific just like the recordings, the conversation, the letters? What would you suggest? Do you have any opinion? Or letters? Okay, letters. I thought to audio correspondence, the transcripts of the conversation, so we can do letters, and then we can do a few letters and a few audio. You okay with that, Mother Tessa? You into that? Yeah. Okay. We'll take silence as a confirmation.
Letters sounds good. I'm sorry. Letters sounds good. My phone is.
We're gonna research what Prabhupada says about jealousy through the letters, and then the audio through the conversations. So
I guess the letters will be interesting because he's talking about specific
instances.
situations.
Makes sense. It's like more practical, perhaps. Yeah. Oh my God, how do you spell jealousy? I didn't install my dictionary here yet. How do you spell jealousy?
Jealousy.
Okay. S Y. Jelou.
Maybe it's JEA.
Okay. Yeah. But there's only 4. Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Yeah,
just gonna check. Yeah, well, I guess we can do both. So 4. We can go through the correspondence where Prabhupada mentions that, and then go through the conversations. Maybe there's more. This is just the correspondence. 6,854 letters we have here, and we found 4 times Prabhupada mentions the word jealousy. Prabhupada speaks as follows to a letter to Pati Padamapat Singh Kanapur, 1957. These are the letters that Prabhupada sent before his arrival to America. If by such propaganda of chanting the holy name of the filthy atmosphere of jealousy, breaking, selfishness, falsehood, and so many other affairs of the modern age can be avoided, and if by such chanting the complete process of self-realization can be achieved, it is not our duty to do this service by combined force. It's not our duty to do the service by combined force. In this age of quarrel and fighting, everything has to be done by combined force to achieve ready success. As the topmost person of a group of large-scale industries, your good personality knows better than me how to combine forces. Diverse energies make the particular industry successful establishment. Okay, Kirtanananda. Like to read that one, Bhakta Ki? Right.
Please accept my humble obeisances and convey the same to all the devotees there. I am in due receipt of your letter of the 10th instant and have noticed the contents with great delight. Your mutual understanding with Sriman Janardhan, making Krishna as the center of attraction, is very much enlightening to me. Transcendental jealousy is not wrong, but is absolute. In the transcendental, oh well, it's too bad we couldn't read the letter that he's talking about.
Like Kirtanananda's letter.
What?
You mean it's too bad we cannot read Kirtanananda's letter?
Well, yeah, because he's talking about, he's mentioning a specific situation. We don't know what it is, but what?
Yeah, we can kind
what's
of.
the example?
We
of
can
transcendental
appreciate
jealousy?
Prabhupada's replies.
Yeah. In the transcendental world, there are jealous parties, also like the party of Radharani and the party of Satyabhama. Radharani and Satyabhama are always jealous of one another, but the center is Krishna. There are many material examples also. There are many political parties in a state, but in spite of all political jealousies, there are one in serving the state. Similarly, Krishna being the center of all competition and jealousies, for serving Krishna the best is always absolute, provided such jealousies do not come down to the material plane. Yeah, I'm just was thinking about this definition of jealousy that Bhakti Swami gave, and it was somebody seeing that somebody else is getting the love or the mercy, and you want that love or mercy for yourself.
I remember Prabhupada's definition sometimes of that. Maybe we're going to read it across the letters.
Yeah.
That someone is, by right, he is allowed to usurp it or enjoy it or utilize certain aspect of whatever Krishna gives him. I think he says that in Ishopanishad. And another person, he just takes it. He's obstructing his, enjoyment or his right to usurp that particular thing. But maybe it's going to be here in the letters.
To usurp it, that would be.
Yeah, like someone, like the animals, for example, God gave them the land to eat the grass, or even the tiger to eat his meat or whatever, and we encroach on his property and we kill him brutally. So that's pure jealousy, envy of that living entity. He has the right, and we we think our right to enjoy is better, is more. I'm a man. I'm a man. God gave me dominion over the earth.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. Okay. Fortunately, Mother Tessa, I cannot share the screen, so we will just share it in between. Oh yeah, I can share the screen. I found it. Oh my God.
Thank you.
So if you would like to read, is
Okay,
it share?
yeah.
Just a second. Did I share the screen? No.
Yes, yes, I can see it.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna go to the next one. Okay, here. So far, your question about jealousy. Is it? Do you see it, or should I zoom in more in the database?
Yeah, it's too small. Sorry, I can't see. Okay.
I can
so
make
far,
it bigger. Oh,
yeah. Bigger is better. So, okay, it's okay. I'll just read it from here. I can see it. So far, your question about jealousy. Perfect. That's great. So far, your question about jealousy, spiritual jealousy means to think always that the service rendered by such and such devotee is so nice and pleasing to Krishna. So let me try harder to please Krishna than him, and then Krishna will notice me also. Hoping this will meet you in good health. Your ever well wisher.
this is a letter to Sankarshan, Los Angeles, 13th of June, 1972. Yeah, I remember Prabhupada too. Sometimes he mentions that in classes, how, yeah, it's very healthy actually, like a transcendental competition. But then there is a fine edge that when we obstruct another's service, propensity or service, let's say Bhakta Keith decorated the altar nicely, and I'm jealous of his service, and it can be healthy if I utilize the propensity to like make a better decoration, or I don't know, or the next morning I get like more beautiful flowers or whatever. But then if I just get rid of his decorations, throw them in the garbage, and put my decoration, take a picture, then yeah, that's like the fine edge when we obstruct the service, like kind of same principle.
This is so interesting to me, because I always thought that, in the spiritual world, there is no jealousy, that everybody has their service and they're happy with their service. They can appreciate other people's services, but that everybody in the spiritual world, their service is perfect for them and they don't want anybody else's service. They think that their service is the best for them, And Srila Prabhupada, I also read somewhere that he said that, and it's not like, I don't know, it's kind of funny because the word jealousy has such a negative connotation in the material world, which is what I'm used to. But then in the spiritual world, it's like, it's not even really jealousy in the same sense that we use the word, because it's more like appreciation for other people's service is how I see spiritual jealousy. And then like in turn, you feel energized, you feel enthused to serve more, because you're so much appreciating that other service. But whereas like jealousy in the material world is something negative where you want to tear someone else down, I don't know, that's how I think of it. But
Thank you for that, Tessa. Well, I guess from you, first of all, you're surprised that the term jealousy is at all present in the spiritual world. Like Prabhupada was referring to jealousy of between Radharani and Satyabhama, was it? No, Satyabhama?
Yeah.
Satyabhama. And yeah, it surprised you that it is present there. And in the same time, I sort of got that you were positively surprised in the sense that you could see that it can be utilized as a source of inspiration or encouragement to each other. Like Krishna says, Tusyanti Charamanti Cha, they encourage one another by their association. So all these, you experience perhaps that all these different, even negative feelings can be, if they properly utilized, they can actually enhance our love to
right.
service.
Yeah, exactly. And it actually reminds me of something that Srila Prabhupada once said that helped me to understand like the difference between the qualities of the spiritual world and the qualities of the material world, because he was saying that everything that we have is also in Krishna. So So even like lust is in Krishna, anger is in Krishna, because if it's not in Krishna, then how can it be in us? But he was saying that like the quality of the anger is different. It's like the kind of anger that's good. You know, like he was giving the example that like when a parent gets angry with their child because they did something wrong, you know, they might slap them, but the slap and the anger is out of love. You know, it's because they want their child to be the best that they can be. So the anger is actually something good. So it was making me think of, you know, like also jealousy. There's something, it's something good in the spiritual world. You know, behind the quote unquote jealousy is always something good, whereas in the material world, you know, it's the opposite. It's, you know, anger and jealousy and all these things, they have, there's always some, like, it seems like there's some negative tinge to it, whereas in the spiritual world the tinge is always positive and bright, you know.
Yeah, I
I
like
don't
how
know.
you, that it's always positive. It reminds me
Yeah.
how Prabhupada he mentions that there's nothing bad actually, even in the material world. There's nothing bad, but when the effect is bad, you know, because even we take the regulative principles, let's say, or like part of sadhana bhakti, there are pure devotees. There are pure devotees who externally they break the regulative principles, but the effect of them breaking the regulative principles is completely different from a conditioned soul breaking the principles, let's say, or something like that, um, or the same like about jealousy or envy. That's kind of what I like to remember from Prabhupada. That nothing is bad, but when the effect is bad, and the effect we can all judge. We can judge, like I think Bhakta Keith mentioned yesterday, by the fruits. We can judge by the
Right.
fruits.
Yeah.
If by expressing my anger, my wrath, I'm, you know, destroying the temple and the temporal atmosphere and the dynamics and the harmony in the temple, or if by expressing my anger, like Hanuman, he expressed his anger, right, and he did the greatest service to Lord Ramachandra and
Yes. Yeah.
the pure devotee. So I think yeah, like you highlighted that it has its place in the spiritual world, and we can all see if we there or till what extent we're there. So far, the effect is conducive for if we think more about Krishna. If our lust and greed actually are decreasing by applying these emotions.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Yes.
So here's the next one. It's a letter to Jagadish, Bombay, November 20th, 1975, regarding the New Orleans farm. I think that's New Taliban, right? That's where Nityananda Prabhu had a farm. Don't make sugar, just boil it and make molasses. It's present in this. There's a really beautiful compilation about Varnashram. If anyone of the viewers is interested in like Varnashram and community, building community around Prabhupada's Shiksha and Prabhupada's instruction, some devotee compiled like a book thick like this, like 200 pages about Varnashram. It goes to details. So I think that quote is from there. Just boil it and make molasses. You can eat the molasses instead of sugar. Just boil it and keep boiling it until granola forms. And then keep in a pot. Don't try to make sugar and sell it. That will simply increase the botheration. If you start trading business, then so many problems will be there. You should produce enough for our only own use. Trading leads to envy and jealousy and cheating, then everything is lost. Wow, I'm going to save this. I didn't save this quote. I'm seeing now that business activities in our society, they are increasing. Originally, I allowed that Garga Muni could start an incense business. I thought that the Ramakrishna mission, they are doing, and the incense we are using. So so if we make some and sell it, then what is the harm? But now I see that Spiritual Sky have so many products, and now there is jewelry business going on. So why the business increase? Nanda Kumar, he came here to India simply for doing business. Yeah, this is actually, we're going to read the Nectar of Instruction, perhaps in the evening or the next evening. That it's a Dhamma para, to come to the holy place to make money. Dhamma para. This is not required. So I have given him sannyas. Now he's finished with all business. Wow, probably.
That's really heavy. That's very heavy.
And he will go to Africa and to preach. So this business should be discouraged. Otherwise, if we do it, our men will again become karmis. Wow, what a letter. I think this is the last place Prabhupada mentions jealousy, and it's such a upliftment. So this business should be discouraged. Otherwise, if they will do it, our men will again become karmis. Our business is simply book distribution. So far, increasing the New Orleans farm. Yes, if you have got more men, you can get more land. Okay, I will stop in the book distribution. I think we got the juice there. Thank you, Prabhupada. Wow, what a blessing.
This is also reminding me of some of the Prabhupada disciples at the temple were getting angry because they were saying that the temple was charging like 2 and 3 times what things were actually worth at the gift shop, and like asking devotees to pay more for things than, like, a lot more than what they're worth. And they were talking about how Srila Prabhupada said that we should not be overcharging each other, that we make money from the general public, but with one another, we can upcharge like maybe 10% maximum, but that we should just be like even-handed between the devotees. And I found that interesting because it does seem like a lot of times devotees always try to, I mean, not always, but
Even
like
more.
they try to gather. Yeah, even more than the general public. It's like what I was talking about with that house, you know, that devotee thinks because it's on near the temple property, she can charge 2 times what a normal person would charge for that house because she knows that the devotees want it. You know, it's like even worse. So yeah, you know, that we can do book distribution and we can charge as much as we want to the general public, but then amongst each other we have to be so careful, you know.
Yeah, I get that you experience that your trust and others devotees trust that you maybe you heard or you experienced yourself, how it's misused. Like we should, Prabhupada wanted us to have like this family oriented
Exactly.
dynamic.
Right.
But when it comes to this sensitive dealing of like money, and then instead of utilizing, like considering money as Lakshmi, it's considered as Durga by the devotees, which is not which is surprising again.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, in some part, I think Prabhupada in general, even he said not just between devotees, but in general, a businessman, if he makes more than 25% profit, I will have to check that in the reference. But from what I remember, if he makes more than 25% profit, he's punishable by karma.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
And that's actually speaking, like now we're using the Veda base, the story of the Veda base, how the Veda base was released. I don't know if you know, but it was released by Gargamuni Prabhu. Gargamuni Prabhu, I mean, released, it was rescued pretty much. Because ISKCON, they employed this company called Folio, like you can see on the side of the screen. Okay, well, I'm not showing the screen. But it's called Folio Views. It's a company that doesn't exist anymore. And what they did in the 80s, they would charge like $800 for the database. Even now, $800 is a lot. Once you speak in the 80s, it's like if you add like 40% inflation, that's like, I don't know, $2,000 probably.
Oh my God. Really? I didn't know that.
And
I didn't know that they were charging for this.
And Prabhupada gave a sanction that all the devotees, back in the 70s, all the devotees, he said, all my disciples should have a free access to our tapes and our books and the recordings and the conversations. It was not released, like devotees didn't know about the letters up until Sulotan Prabhu, he kidnapped these letters from New Vrindavan pretty much. because he started noticing how the people in the management, or not management, that you like in the holy hierarchy, they're not actually pure devotees, from the letters that how Prabhupada would expose them in his own letters. And he wanted to release that, and he was murdered for that. There is the whole book called Killing for Krishna, and I'm not getting into politics now, but it's there if someone is interested. There's a whole history behind it. But even when it was released, to make it even more difficult, in the 90s, the folio book charged around $800, maybe even more. I don't remember. You can ask Gargamuni about it. To give access to this program. So Gargamuni, one day, he received a flop disk, like these old CDs, right, that used to be in the 90s for computers. He just received it underneath his, like somehow in his house in Florida. I don't remember where he was living in Florida. I think Miami. He was living in Miami. So someone just toasted the disk under his room, under the threshold, and he just got it as inspiration from Prabhupada and Krishna that I got it, so I'm just gonna give it for free to devotees. He charged something. After all, it's dark food. He asked something just to, for the work of like copying it and doing the flip, the getting the disc and everything. But
making profit on
it wasn't. It was just for the menial work. He was not making $2,000 from a copy of the program. And that's why he was banned for the second time from ISKCON with his brother, with Brahmananda.
No way.
Because they couldn't make $2,000 from, and he even calculated, and what actually led him to that, very similar perhaps mood that you expressed it, that you notice that devotees, they charge each other unproportionately. So he calculated actually, because he had some lawyer that could give him from the stock market exchange or somewhere there on Wall Street. He could see how much that company makes profit per year, and he could see that they made so much profit from that, because devotees, I mean, by Krishna's mercy, some devotees are wealthy or well-to-do, whatever you call it. So he could see that they made quite a lot of profit from that program, and still they would increase the rate, like it would cost $1,000 after. And so he just got really angry, and he just started copying it and just giving it to devotees for like the cost price of the disc and the work of copying the. And he got banned for that from ISKCON. He got banned. That was enough time that he got banned. He got banned 4 times in total. After the 4th time, not coming back. Thanks to Gargamuni that he counteracted jealousy, because it's pure jealousy. We as Prabhupada followers, we deserve, it's our right, just like it's our right to utilize his property, his assets, to propagate Krishna consciousness, which we cannot. Like if I step into ISKCON Montreal or ISKCON Bangalore and I openly express my connection with Prabhupada, I will be banned, regardless of individual figures there. I will be banned according to the direction of management. The direction of management states that anyone who has this understanding that Prabhupada can be the current link to the parampara, he has no good stand in ISKCON. He has no good stand, which means that he can outmost wash the dishes or mop the floor. It's there. You can check out the DOM, direction of management.
Really?
Outmost, something like that. No good stand. That's the exact word. No good stand. He cannot have any good stand in ISKCON. What to speak about getting in, giving, whatever. Serving,
Wow.
So this is pure jealousy, and I don't care. Like I personally, like, who cares? I never stepped until 2018. I never stepped into ISKCON property. I stepped there just to come, like, see Prabhupada quarters in Vrindavan. But in terms of the books, and now we can go into like book changes and all kind of things. This is our right to have Prabhupada's Vani, So thanks to great souls like Gargamuni, we have that, and I feel very, very fortunate that he's still still with us to help him in this service. So I'm gonna stop there. I don't want to put too much.
And also people like Radhanath Swami, who are
Mhm.
still in ISKCON and very powerful leaders, are
Mm.
definitely creating some empowering,
Mm.
very empowering
Mm.
potency there.
Mm-hmm. Like you could, there was some. I mean, I don't know what's the dynamic with His Holiness Radhanath Swami, and what is his relationship with ISKCON?
He's GBC.
Okay. So you say, what I get from you, that he's trying to like rectify that mentality or something like that, or
My sense is it's not his service to address these things directly. Like as
Mhm.
far as like pointing them out, he's just
okay.
establishing the essence of what Prabhupada was putting
Mhm.
forth.
I get from you that
I'm not
Prabhupada
saying
is
that
important
either one
for
is
him.
wrong. It may be people's service, like this book that I'm reading now, this Divine and Demoniac.
Mm.
I haven't got that much into what's going on in this one, but he's directly pointing out some deviations, and that's what I get, or
Mm.
and that's not wrong. That's
Mhm.
right. It's right for people to do
Mhm.
that. But I'm just saying, Radhanath Swami, he's just simply, maybe he does subtly address these things intentionally, but he's not speaking openly about it. He's just like I said, establishing the essence of Prabhupada's movement within his
Okay.
time.
Thank you for that. Yeah, like I get that he's not like criticizing or like finding fault like in with what is going on there, because he focuses on like the positive. He brings people closer to Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Okay. I personally, again, I'm like, I didn't grow up in ISKCON. I didn't know about these things.
Yeah,
Again,
with Bhakti Tirtha Swami, though, he did address it a little bit.
Mhm.
Like there's one class where he's saying protect Prabhupada's house. He's speaking directly, but not pinpoint directly, and he's just like, he was even this with the GBC meeting, and he was yelling at them, like, and and I heard from people that were there that there was people like literally giving up, leaving the room crying, and he's like preaching like a lion, like what happened, where are these people, where's Saraswati, right? Where is she? Like this first child in Prabhupada's, the daughter of, I can't remember.
Oh, okay, like he's not, I don't know, blaming, but like he is putting out there that maybe she's not there because of something is going wrong in the institution, or is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, he was pointing out about how so many people's
were
feelings
turned
are
off.
hurt. Yeah, they're hurt, and we should be compassionate towards them. It's been a few years.
Yeah, and the highest compassion.
He's not beating around the bush at all about what's these certain negative things.
Yeah, and the highest compassion is to give Prabhupada purely, without any adulteration, and Okay, so it's
I think I'm just balancing.
So the next, there's no the jealousy is over in the correspondence, but we can go to the audio transcripts and see what's there. 33. Interesting. Just like Jesus when he was crucified.
Yeah. This is in the what? Of course.
In Judaism, there's like a science of like identifying a certain like just looking at numbers. Yeah. So I don't know 33 if it means anything.
Yeah, that's how old I was when I was in the temple, getting treated like shit.
Okay.
Not getting treated like shit, but I was.
Maybe we can avoid the S word in front of Prabhupada.
I was being misrepresented, not being treated nicely.
So this is a verse.
What are we looking into now?
This is an audio recording. This is we can maybe read like a paragraph. This is a big class from 1967. Oh, these are my favorite years. 17, and it's a verse that Prabhupada quotes. The word jealousy is in the translation to the verse, and then Prabhupada says something. So if Bhakta, if you would like to read, you can read like a few paragraphs, and because probably the whole class is like it's a long class perhaps. So yeah. Evam nirjayate sadvigraha kriyate bhaktir ishvare vasudeve bhagavate yasamo samlabhyayate ritaha.
By these activities, as mentioned above, one is able to cut down the influence of the enemies, namely lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and jealousy. And when thus situated, one can render service to the Lord. In this way, one surely attains the platform of loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If anyone prosecutes his devotional service in full Krishna consciousness under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, then gradually he develops rati. Rati means affection, affinity, attachment for the Lord. Okay, that's what I thought. Rati was attachment.
We discussed it once in Nectar of Devotion, I think.
Yeah.
You were asking.
Now we have got attachment for the matter. So as we make progress, we gradually become freed from material attachments and come to the platform, complete attachment for God. So attachment, that is my natural instinct. I cannot be free from attachment. I shall be either attached to this matter or I shall be attached to spirit. If I am not attached to spirit, then I must be attached to matter. And if I am attached to spirit, then material attachment is gone. This is the process. So Prahlad Maharaj says, in this process, if a person advances in his spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness, then Vasudev Bhagavati. The Vasudev means Krishna. Vasudev Bhagavati, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Yaya samlabhyate rati. He becomes automatically attached.
Sorry.
It didn't mention the jealousy, but
Yeah, what I get from that, how it's connected to the verse is, if we not focus on Krishna, that all kind of negative feelings and emotions and like madness, jealousy, illusion, greed, anger, lust, they start to evaporate from the heart. And
yeah,
Krishna consciousness is like the Brahmastra, the atomic medicine to rectify all of that, not just jealousy, but madness, illusion.
yeah. Oh, I was going to mention too, I don't know if Tessa, that quote there in the jealousy where it says about not charging money, maybe if you feel inspired, you could copy it and give it to somebody in the community that's pushing to have the prices lessened around the temple. Then they have a quote from Prabhupada. Just a suggestion that you can do if you want. Mm-hmm. It was in the last of the 4 definitions of jealousy in the letters.
Okay, the next is a conversation. In my study, I haven't really read across all the conversations yet, and all kind of cool things. Karandar, he is like one of the supreme managers of ISKCON in the 70s. He done some really extraordinary work. He replaced Gargamuni. In Gargamuni, before he took sannyas, he was like really like, he was handling like 200 devotees in the lay temple and so many things. At Karandar, he took over the management and he did a lot of great service. Okay.
I heard the name.
Let's see. Where we can start so it makes sense. Okay. Tessa, Mataji, would you like to you can maybe read what Prabhupada says, and I will read what Swarup Damodar reads and Karandar. Would you like me?
Okay, let's do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. We can
Yes.
start.
Okay. Yes. So you just say, yes, we are escaping, and you are being entrapped. That is the difference.
Escaping from material bondage.
He is escaping. That's all right, but you are being entrapped.
They're like the prison.
A.
They like prison. They like the prison.
And we try to. We like escaping.
Damodar, he laughs.
You like something. I like something else.
Karandar. Generally, they say that out of jealousy
Huh?
or envy, they are thinking as if we have to work so hard and suffer, then everyone should. Why someone should be able to chant and dance?
They are envious.
Yes.
They can see this, that is our success. They say frankly, envious.
They won't
Oh, they
say
say
it.
frankly.
Sorry?
No. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They won't say it, but they won't say it, no. But when they say that we are escaping, and we are no accounts, accountable maybe. That is generally the reason why, because they are jealous. I guess it's this topic that in LA, because it's in LA, right? Yeah, it's September 24th, LA, Los Angeles, 1972. It's the neighbors that were jealous. You can hear that in other lectures and conversations. Prabhupada, he really like puts it like out there that like they have like 10 cars and a big building, and like they bought in some point they bought the whole Watseka Avenue. I don't know if it's still like that, probably not, but they had like the whole block full of devotees, and none of them was working, and the neighbors were like going crazy, like, what is going on? They're not working, they're just chanting and dancing. They have a feast. They feed like hundreds of people every Sunday in festivals, and their guru rides like Rolls Royce, and like, so maybe that's around. I'm just like speculating, but I think it's around this or another incident that happened in LA a lot, because LA, Prabhupada named it New Dwarka for that reason, that it's the most opulent, used to be, or I don't know, I haven't been there. Maybe someone of the viewers can comment and say how is it there now. But in the 70s, Prabhupada, we will address the temple as like the most opulent deity worship in the world, on the planet.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. That's interesting.
They work so hard day and night, Prabhupada.
Yes. And we sit down in our garden and chant Hare Krishna laughs without any anxiety. Bahusaka yanantas cha padayo vyavasainam. Do you want to do the Sanskrit, Ram?
Vyavashyatmika budir eka kurunandana bahushakai anatascha bhavyo vyavashyanyam. This is
exits car on walk with very loud waves.
oh,
Everything is. Huh? What's that?
That was a car, like a conversation in the car, in the Rolls Royce.
Right. Yeah. Exits car. Yeah. Everything is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. You have to read carefully, and you will get reference in all subject matters. Bahusaka hyanantascha. Not nice. I've got this toothache. I do not know.
Okay, we can stop here. Yeah, non-devotees are medical jokes. Little success. Devotees, they like the neighbors, like if they would know what it took the devotees to get there, because people, they just see the top of the iceberg, right? But the bottom of the iceberg is like, most of the iceberg is underneath the water. And devotees, they were like, before they got the temple, they were on the street. They were worshiping Jagannath on the street, literally.
Right.
Like, they were homeless.
Yeah.
Prabhupada, he was literally like, he was homeless. He was sleeping in an office building in Midtown, you know.
Yeah.
But when
Right.
someone sees the success, oh, he got it like this. Why I didn't do that? You know, similarly too, like this is, I find it something that very easily can be rectifiable. Like in my own propensity to be jealous of someone, for example, if I realize or connect to like, okay, I don't know who that person was in his previous life. Maybe that person, you know, he opened 200 temples for Prabhupada, or I don't know, or he distributed 1 million books, and maybe that's why he, I don't know, hasn't. I mean, a big house for a devotee is actually, it's not like something really pleasant, but materially speaking, we are jealous of these things. We are jealous of a good car, beautiful wife, good education, beauty, all these things. So I find it like very kind of interesting that I can contract my own jealousy by considering, oh, I can at least theoretically imagine that, wow, probably that devotee, he was like, I don't know, like a devotee, let's say like Hansaduta or Gargamuni. They really thanks to Gargamuni, there is a temple here in Gainesville. Like thanks to Gargamuni, we are probably here in Alachua now, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
next birth, if he's not back, he's not going to be back, if he will not walk back home back to God, certainly he will be very well to do regardless, you know?
Yeah, well, that's why I'm more appreciating the principle of duty or like Dharma, wanting to get to better know that. There's one Chaitanya Charan that said this one nice way of putting it, that we all have our own feast. Like you go
We have our own feast.
everybody, you go to a place to eat, and we have our own little unique individual place.
Party.
That's a very wonderful, magnificent, delicious feast, and everyone has one. We have our own. It's not the same as the other person, and this is what we have to enjoy, or what, you know. So don't focus on somebody else has something that you don't have. You already have your amazing, wonderful feast. But then I also look at that as like, I mean, I'm starting to integrate this into my consciousness. It's not something that I'm super realized on, but that I have my own unique, wonderful, magnificent thing to offer to the world, or like my own medicine, like in my Sakatope, right? Sat talks about that. Like I have a certain medicine to offer the world. That's my unique expression, service, my unique, wonderful, beautiful things to offer, you know. And that's what I think that for myself, that's where jealousy comes up, because maybe I see where I'm lacking in my capacity to offer that. And then when I see somebody else is offering it, or that's being recognized, you know, could be loving appreciation. Somebody's saying, oh, wow, what you're doing is really wonderful. And when I see that, it's just that something wonderful in that person is being recognized. I want what's in me to be recognized. I want it to express it. I want people to appreciate it. I want it to be experienced by myself and other people. And that's where I notice that's where I become jealous, because I was never really so disposed to be jealous. Like it's just, I mean, it's always there. I'm a conditioned being, but as far as like manifesting, maybe it's somewhere in my subconscious, whatever, you know, like in previous lifetime, I was a demon going around and taking stuff from other people. So my jealousy of my ego is really manifest. But in this life, it has been not that manifest at all until the last several years, where I was frustrated because I was trying to really learn how. I was wanting to give something special. I wanted to have an amazing life, enlivening, and that was getting frustrated. So then I found that I would start becoming jealous of even the devotees or whatever, right?
You mind if I just reflect on this nice point that you said? Because I find it like really important to highlight. Maybe others, the viewers, to find it beneficial. How like I noticed actually that it's not that you were, as I heard, it's not that you're like, you find yourself jealous of particular thing or possession, but it's actually the ability of someone to do something that people appreciate, like to give that gift that you feel that maybe my gift is not good enough, or maybe I don't even have that, or I will not be appreciated for that. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I'm losing sight of the fact that I have something wonderful
to give to them.
or I'm for some reason it's just numb, or I'm not choosing to give it, or I'm being frustrated in that way, or whatever. It's not manifested yet, or so yeah. I see somebody else is doing it, and then because I can't see myself doing something like that, I feel dissatisfied. And
Dissatisfied,
and that's where my jealousy kind of comes in.
It's like it seems like the jealousy and the lack of self-appreciation is like they're like standing in front of each other or something like that. In a sense, that's kind of what I feel from your sharing.
Yeah, it's like not being connected to my own value, not really valuing myself. Then when I'm not connected to that, then it becomes like some. It's not like an absolute experience. It's not. Then it becomes something like a duality. You know, like they have it, I don't.
Maybe you look for that value outside in someone else's value that you experience.
Exactly. Yeah, and then that dissatisfaction from that is
envy.
That's where the jealousy, depression, anger, dissatisfaction, envy.
Oh yeah, I think I got to see something within my own heart through your sharing.
Oh yeah, nice.
Thank you, kid. Okay.
Yes, sorry.
You wanted to say, yeah, please.
I wanted to say I like, Ram, what you said about it being really about the recognition or the adoration, because I think you can see that, it's all relative. Because, like, for example, if you're living in a village where nobody has a car, even if you have like an old beat up Toyota, let's say, that's a status symbol because you have a car and nobody else has a car, but then like if you're living in a place that's opulent, then having an old beat up Toyota is nothing, then you need to have a BMW. Or you could live in a place like Dubai where everybody has BMWs and you need a Ferrari to be recognized. Good point. You need a private jet to be recognized. But what I mean is that it's not about the things, it's about getting the recognition, because whatever you have that's giving you recognition, that's the thing.
And it's relative, so it's like very dynamic in your experience. What you shared, that's what I heard.
That's gonna.
Yeah, like we after not the soul is after the being recognized as a loving, caring.
Wait, sorry, can you?
Well, I get from what you shared, like emphasizing the recognition aspect, is that we as a spiritual being, we're not actually after the thing we possess or would like to possess, but what we would do with it towards our community or towards our family or environment. More specifically, maybe I would say how we would serve them with that object. And and I really like this and like point about relativity, that if we live in a village that no one has a car, and even we have something like a bullock cart or whatever, everyone will like really admire us and give us like recognition. But if everyone has like a car, then it's gonna be harder and harder and harder. But
it's worthless.
It's worth it, and yeah, that's really something that, I mean, the essence of that really soothes my heart in a sense, because like really looking at the service propensity of every single living entity, and that the real happiness is there, is not to have something or someone, which is more crazy, but to serve him, to serve the community, to render service. Yeah. I'm specifically reading something in this regard in like man-woman's relationship. How a man, he is like naturally satisfied by feeling recognized for his service propensity to the woman. Like that's actually how men psychologically identify someone to be attractive, not by like experiencing that the woman is attracted to him directly, but experiencing that she recognizing him for his service. And it's really, really interesting in like the spiritual dynamics that Prabhupada inspires us in not to be like self-centered, but do service. Like you love, so you do something with that love, and that will give us so much taste and flavor and intelligence too. And like in that like book about relationships, it's more like to identify a potential mate, for example. It's Mars and Venus dating. Mars and Venus on dating or something. Dating, Mars and Venus on dating. Yeah, it's like the short book.
You're reading it?
I read a few chapters.
Well, where is it?
I got an audio book. Like that.
Okay.
Someone suggested me to read it. I'm gonna say who, doesn't matter, not for the video. But yeah, it made a lot of sense. Like and for a woman, she giving this recognition. That's how she like. That's like we all have enjoyment propensity, and that's completely natural, and it's great. It's part of us to enjoy. But when we're not doing it in a way which actually we can experience our experience of enjoyment, then we're creating a mess, either in a man-woman relationship, community, nation, like when the politician is trying to get the post just to get, I don't know, money or whatever, and not to be really recognized for a beneficial, important service, then yeah, there is a chaos. So anyways, this is something that I kind of recall in my like reading of the mundane books, but how that particular book has some devotional aspect into that.
Yeah, I really liked what you said about if you love someone, then you do something for them. Because I think that that's Srila Prabhupada, as you were saying, that's his whole mood, is that, okay, if you love me, you'll distribute my books. If you love me, you'll follow the principles and you chant your rounds, and it's so interesting because like spiritual love is just so different from material love. And I think we sort of like touched on this a little bit before, but like material love is just like it's such an emotional thing generally, but spiritual love is like an activity, so regardless of how you feel, if you're following the principles and you're chanting the rounds, Srila Prabhupada says that's love. If you love me, you'll distribute my books. Okay, so we're distributing the books, but it's like regardless of what you're feeling or what you're saying, if you're out there doing the books, then that's love. It's like sometimes on the other side of the spectrum, you get to hear a lot of words from people, or you can get lost in feelings, but then if you ask them to do something for you, like you say, hey, I need $100, can you loan me $100? It's like, they've said so many times, oh, I love you so much and I feel this and that, but then when you ask them to do something for you, they don't do it, or they don't want to do it, or you ask them, I really need this in the relationship, and they don't give you that, but yet they've said that they love you so many times and there's so many feelings and this and that. But at the end of the day, it's like if they're not willing to do the service for you that you request or that you require to feel comfortable, then that's not love, and I think that's Srila Prabhupada's point, is that love is in the activity. But anyway, sorry.
I get from you how you connect to Prabhupada there, because that's the whole paradigm of Krishna consciousness. If you love someone, yeah, you do something. Love is a verb. It's not a feeling.
Right.
It's actually
Right.
a verb. Love, I love you. It's not like I am love. This is the
Right.
question.
Yeah, exactly.
My the personalism. I'm love and you're love and everyone is love. Love, if you love your friend, if you love your girlfriend, your boyfriend, you love your husband, your wife, your boss. If you love your boss, you're not gonna quit the job because he didn't pay you.
Right.
If he loves you, he's not gonna stop paying you because he knows that you trust him. And love truth, love, trust. So
Yeah,
important
exactly.
to practically live these concepts, and Yeah, Prabhupada. Yeah.
Cooperation. That's what I was wanting to say. So I was not going to, but I felt like because this kind of opens up. That's what I appreciate what this is here, the Sapatov, and that was the thing also that I wanted to mention about how Radhanath Swami is protecting against these situations, is establishing the devotee care system, and I think that that's also very important. It's like the cure, it's the protection. I mean, obviously, protecting from deviations and stuff is specific things that need to be addressed. But also, I think that the cooperation between the devotees and that is very important. And that's what he was saying. Like, if you love me, then you will cooperate. That's why I really appreciate what Dear Govinda's teaching here and the
How to cooperate.
The communications, right? Communications, empathy, and that was when I was one thing that when I was traveling around the temples that I found that was one thing that I really was craving, really needed.
The skills to communicate with the devotees that you got here in Satpatov community and the courses that Dear Govinda offers.
Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, we all have that love propensity, but the tools, they're very, and Prabhupada, like the tools actually that I feel that I'm like learning, I'm still like learning in the process of learning these tools from the Satpatov seminars and everything. It's not different from Prabhupada's tools. Like after actually in the advanced course, I was like very like kind of considering like where like trying to find Krishna consciousness or whatever. But at some point for me it just clicked like, wow, this is just like being in the Srimad Bhagavatam class. This is just like any other of Prabhupada's programs. Because Dear Govinda, he made a special attention to extrapolate these principles from Prabhupada's teachings and even the techniques. Like Prabhupada uses that. He's not using that. He is empathic listening. He is like he is embodying these qualities of the best coach, the best like reporter, the best listener. I think Dear Govinda, he sent us like combination of these quotes. How Prabhupada, he mentions how like the perfection of your Krishna consciousness will be when everyone you can relate to everyone through your Krishna conscious practice or something like that. So yeah, it's really, I feel blessed.
Yeah. So have like a caring, open-hearted connection with everybody. That's the manifestation of the expression of your Krishna consciousness. And that's the perfection of it, like you're saying.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it's not different from. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's not like different from the perfection. The process of like Prabhupada says, first you become conscious, then you become Krishna conscious. So if you're not a conscious listener or an empathic human being, how can you be conscious? I read something very, very Krishna conscious in this 7 Habit book. How by first of all understanding, if you don't understand yourself, you cannot relate to anyone else because you don't know what they are going through. Yeah. And vice versa too. Like we are together, we are all connected, we are all parts and parcels of Krishna. So we have a duty to be self-realized, to act on self-realization, and to support others in self-realization. And yeah, these tools that we get here under Dear Govinda's and Melanie's guidance, they're like really pebbles of gold in like river of Kali Yuga.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I appreciate also what he's saying about the communication-based approach to self-realization, because in the nectar of instruction it says that, right? That's where it starts from.
Yeah,
controlling the tongue, vibration of the tongue, right? So that means not just eating what you're eating, but it also means what you're speaking. So if we're supposed to only speak Krishna conscious before you become Krishna conscious, so it means we have to learn how to have communication and mode of goodness
You need to know how to speak and how to listen and all these things, have relationships and mode of goodness. Then that's, and specifically starting with the speaking, and then that's the foundation that the rest of the nectar of instruction is founded on, right?
So first, like from what you say, I get like the communication starts from controlling our own propensity to communicate. What are we communicating?
Yeah.
With our environment.
Yeah, and goodness, and I mean, it says specifically with speech, you know, vibrating in tongue, speaking, and so I that's what I really, appreciate about what they're teaching.
I kind of find now in my brain I had like this connection to deity worship now, because if like you mentioned, I like how you mentioned this the Krishna Katha, to bring Krishna, but many times I experienced like people that like they profess to be devotees, like including myself, they would utilize Krishna Katha to like promote their own agenda, or like, Prabhu, here Prabhupada says this, and you cannot do that. I mean, it can be good and like it can help us, of course, but many times I experience that as like, as we call in Sattva, roadblock to communication.
Yeah.
And it's not like coming from like a really honest place, you know, and Devahuti and Kardamamuni, no, the Kapila Devi mentions devotees who actually, they practice devotional service. I mean, it is devotional service to quote Prabhupada and like read Prabhupada's books and worship the deity. But in a sense, Krishna is not fully present there because their devotional service is tinged by ignorance. For example, devotee, someone who is acting on devotional service from mode of ignorance, he is proud, he is arrogant, he is angry, he is harsh behavior, he's secluded, he is individualistic or something like that. And then in the mode of passion, there is explanation that he does devotional service just to get something from Krishna. And I think mode of goodness too. It's in the third canto, the Shrilaga. So it's really, I find it really interesting, and I hope maybe you feel supported in like mentioning that, like to bring Krishna consciousness in our communication. Still, it doesn't mean that everything we say about Krishna in Krishna conscious communication, Krishna is like forced to be there. Like it's still like our pure, like at least mode of goodness consciousness of like uplifting each other, supporting each other in the quotes.
It could be like a spiritual bypass, or what's the way that he says. What's the other way that it says in there about
playing a role?
No, he says it in his book.
Relationship
about the levels of accountability, spiritual.
Our responsibility, spiritual responsibility. Yeah, but I think you mean when illusion of transcendence.
Oh yeah, illusion of transcendence. You know, so it's like I can speak that stuff from the scriptures and convince myself that I'm transcendental, that I have these realizations.
Oh, okay.
And I can go around and say these things. Like I had one of the guys at the temple. He's a really good studier. I mean, he's more advanced than me now. He still lives in there. He's brahmachari, and he's doing much better than me in his spiritual life. But still, he's very good at studying and remembering and quoting, and so he would want to just speak just strictly
from the scripture.
Yeah, Krishna Katha, and my memory is not so good, and so then most of the time I just felt criticized by him. Practically everything that came out of my mouth, he's like, you know, and he also put off a lot of other people by being like that, you know. So
you experience from him that perhaps he has some of this illusion of transcendence, or he's like quoting in a way that doesn't support you where you at.
Yeah, it got in the way of our relationship, you know. Okay. Like it actually made me feel like I'm just
unworthy.
Yeah, deviant, unworthy, like I'm being attacked, you know, and like, you know, it's just like, okay, use it as an excuse just to like interrupt me or other people when they're speaking. And,
yeah, you feel, I get that you felt victimized by him pretty much.
Yeah, so him speaking Krishna Katha was actually, it was enlivening in many ways, but but then also in many situations, it was the effect of it was people felt ostracized or criticized and not excluded from partaking. And so I mean, with him, I felt like it was mostly innocent, maybe with some arrogance that mixed in there. He was sincere devotee. And then there's the other extreme where Prabhupada said not to hear the scriptures, not to even hear Srimad Bhagavatam spoken by the lips of a non-devotee, right? So then what's the intention behind it,
Yeah. What's the intention sets the premises, or the intention sets the vibe, if it's if that's a devotee or not. Or there is this quote that karmis, they chant Hare Krishna, or I would exchange the word chant Hare Krishna, like karmis quote Prabhupada. Karmis can too. They, like in Israel, and in the book I saw you start reading Krishna, Israel, and the Druze. So you're gonna get into if you're gonna read the book across the book, you're gonna see that they run into opposition from the religious Orthodox Jewish sector, and they were quoting Prabhupada to knock down ISKCON, like to knock down the preaching. They would quote not just quote Prabhupada, they would paste Prabhupada all over Tel Aviv, all over like the city, like different quotes.
Oh, yeah.
But the quotes were completely taken out of context because they're not devotees. And this is, I think, really, like if I would choose like a parallel for this last interaction that we had about jealousy and how it extrapolated in our speech and communication, is that even we might have the knowledge and the quotes, and we read all of Prabhupada books 1 million times, if we don't have this sincere, like true empathy and desire to connect with people on the human level where they're at, it's useless. It's like a crown on it. It's like a jewel on the head of a serpent, like I think Prahlad Maharaj says.
Yeah, and I've noticed in myself like the difference manifestations. Like I think envy is more so like attacking people, trying to undermine them. Jealousy is more so it's not necessarily attacking the person, but what I've noticed that sometimes, when I'm jealous of other people, that I may not necessarily attack them or try to speak with the intention of undermining them, but I'm more prone to this. I'll like disconnect, like, you get what I mean?
It disconnects you from who you're speaking to.
I may actually speak, but what's not it. It hinders my desire to actually have a relationship or connection. So I do this for many other reasons also. So I don't want to, because we're living with each other, I don't want you to confuse what I'm saying. But sometimes
if it's something specific, we can perhaps address it like over.
Yeah. No, but because I feel like I'm often like this, kind of like disconnected. So that it's because of anything. But at times when I notice, like I said, I do get jealous sometimes. It's not a huge thing in my
It's a huge thing,
you know. But that's what I noticed is that somebody may be complimenting somebody for something that they're doing really nice, and I may speak in agreement with it, but I'm not alive in it, I'm not offering myself to it, you get what I mean? It's kind of like without potency, it's without life. So I'm not saying anything to attack the person that they're complimenting, but I'm just not offering my
energy,
my heart, my energy to it. So
thank you for expressing your experience, very personal experience with jealousy. And I marked where we stopped in the quote. If you would like to continue to do this research about jealousy, or I invite any one of you or whoever watches the rebroadcast to inspire us with a topic to research, with a term. Gargamuni, actually, that's how he studies Prabhupada books. He just sits and for like 4 to 6 hours straight he puts something in the weather base and he just churns it, he calls it. And I spent with him like a whole month of doing that, and it's like, wow, it's such a bliss, like really, because it's not different from Prabhupada. Anything anyone would like to say as a to check out with feelings or anticipation for tomorrow or the week, new week today?
No, I like what you said. I think we covered a lot of good topics, subjects, lots to think about. So
Okay.
good job.
Good.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah, I get that you're satisfied by the varieties of topics we touched, and
Oh, sorry.
it leaves you with a lot of things to meditate on.
Yes, that's right. Yes, that's what I mean. Yes.
Jai. Srila Prabhupada, Vani ki Jai.
Oh, Jai.
Namaste.